Billy in the building?
That's
Come on,
very,
man.
very appropriate. Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 89 of Speak On It. I'm your host, Danny Ocean, as always, joined by the smoothest man on the planet, Losty Mix. We have a special guest in the building tonight.
Yes, we do. His name is not Danny Ocean, despite the name tag under him that says Danny Ocean. We have our guy Kyle Senra in the building. No, I saw that and I have to laugh. Now we got our guy Kyle Senra in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, you already know when you see me, it can only be one brother, the good brother, Losty Mix. Kyle, not Danny Ocean. Kyle, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. It's always great to listen to you two speak on it, and I actually get to participate now. I hope I don't drag the episode down too much. Go
Never.
Pack, go!
Kyle,
Appreciate it, guys.
you're like one of the few guests we've had, and you're the only multi-guest speaker we've had. So, and you came back 3 times, which means clearly we're doing something right here. We're clearly doing something right. Danny, my brother, how are you doing, man?
Oh, buddy. We didn't get to talk last week after the Eagles stuck their foot all up in San Francisco's ass. I'm doing great, beloved. It has been a
Mm.
great week. Hopefully it ends on Sunday. Well, I'll take that back. It was a great week, and what's hard to say until Kyrie became a Maverick. Then the week kind of took a left turn. But
It's funny. You
from
were
an
the first
investment,
person I thought of when that trade happened. It's like, oh yeah, Danny likes Luca. I wonder how that combo will do.
we'll talk about that later. That's a very sad state of affairs. But on the gridiron, you know, Eagles knock out not one but two quarterbacks. They make it to the Super Bowl. They run all through that vaunted 49ers defense I kept hearing all this gibberish about. And now they
Mm.
face the greatest of them all that's not named Tom Brady. So very excited.
I mean, I think we're gonna do a good amount of Super Bowl kind of diving between the three of us. Danny, how about you let the people know who and where the podcast is brought to them by?
As always, this show is brought to you by goingfor2.com. Cal with the swag. Head over to goingfor2.com for all your fantasy needs. I know the fantasy season has come to an end, but for those of you who are in dynasty leagues who may still be going, I know our dynasty league will not be kickstarted until after Super Bowl Sunday, which I have some moves I need to make. It's going to be fun. But Going for Two has you for all your sports: baseball, basketball, football. Kyle, is there still NASCAR? I know once upon a time we had some NASCAR up there.
I'll have to double check. I'm not sure. I'm definitely not the go-to guy for NASCAR.
Yeah, neither am I.
That's the
Now you
one
can get
with
some Formula
tires,
One
right?
going.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
go
the
to
one with
tires.
tires. That's all I got, and I know they're going to be at the LA Coliseum. That's it. That's all I know. No, that
Yeah,
was
I've
this
been
past
noticing
Sunday, I
that.
think.
Is this like new? This little LA Coliseum race? It's I see commercial for it all the time. I don't know if it's like a weekly Friday night SmackDown sort of thing, but
I feel like the LA Coliseum is too small. Like the turns are too tight to have a professional,
And that's
NASCAR
what's going to make
race.
it so exciting.
Okay, okay, okay.
that's why they call it
I'm
the
sorry,
Clash of
that
the
got dark.
Coliseum.
Say what? D?
I said that's why they're calling it the Clash of the Coliseum, I believe.
Yeah. Well, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Danny, I got one announcement before we get into the thick of what we're about to get into, starting with the Super Bowl.
Let's do it.
This is in the essence of fantasy. So, folks out there, if you are interested in joining a dynasty fantasy football league, 10 person, make sure you DM Roasty Mix on Twitter. We have one team franchise that is available for expansion. We're looking to move this franchise. Holler at me, the commissioner, Roasty Mix on Twitter or Instagram, and we can talk about it. I'm not going to tell you who is on this roster until you have expressed serious interest and you are damn near committed. You just want to know who you would be inheriting. So essentially, what I'm saying is, if you're not serious and you reach out to me, I'm going to tell you some unholy things.
Well,
So,
D, I'm interested. How much does it cost?
people, it's only an $80 league. 80. Winner gets Danny was at 7-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, winner gets 700. Second place gets 100. And this team that you'd be inheriting, I will put this out there. This team that you would be inheriting does have some picks. He does have some picks.
Sweet. D, tonight, along with
Yes.
Kyle,
I
we're
know.
going to
Kyle.
talk about.
Talk to me.
So we're going to talk about the Super Bowl, of course. We want to talk about the NFL coaching carousel. We want to talk the NBA trade deadline. We're going to do our quick hitters, and we have a new segment this week. You and I have been.
Oh man! You know what? Can we start with this new segment? Because I wanted to come in hot on this one.
Okay, we can
I
start.
want to
Let's
gauge
do
just
it.
the room real quick. So,
Okay.
so Kyle, me and Danny, as we, because we're getting ready to head into the off season of football and basketball, and then obviously the summer solstice where there's really not a lot of sports going on. So we wanted to start talking about what we're watching, so we can come in here and accurately critique it, just to give our thoughts about it. Last night, Danny and I are chit chatting a little bit, and we're kind of spinning on this because we want to come in here to the people, to our audience, and give some real hot takes. So he says he's watching Velma. I said, you know what? I'm watching Velma, and I'm also watching You People, and I'm also watching a few other shows. So I said, all right, let's come in here and talk about Velma. So yesterday, I really decided to watch Velma, like for real, pay attention. Kyle, this is the most caca load of shit I've ever had to sit through for damn near an hour. Kyle, so tell me this. The damn Scooby Doo I grew up on, this was 5 white kids, including one hippie and a damn dog. Tell me why there was a drug dealer, a killer,
Yes.
a racially ambiguous girl searching for her mama that she could not find, no dog,
no dog,
and 2 damn dead girls with no brains.
What episode are you on, D?
I only watched 2.
Oh, okay.
2 episodes.
Okay. There are 8 episodes. I'm on episode 8 right now. It gets a little bit better, but no, it's.
Has she found her mama yet? And where I'm at and where you at, has this girl found her mama yet?
I can't tell you that.
Kyle, at what point in Scooby Doo did we ever hear about their parents? Now we find
But that's the point,
out
though.
that Fred is a bitch and his parents essentially don't want him because he a bitch. That's what he is. Daphne out here, she the pusher man. She out here, she the dope man. A little white girl.
She is the dope man.
She the dope.
See, I always expected Shaggy to be the one with the van, the
oh
dog.
Man, they ain't even got a Shaggy.
Man,
they got a old
must be
Rastaman
totally more
brother
novels
man
combined.
named Norville who's crushing on Velma who don't want it. Dog. This is the biggest load of cockamamie bullshit I've seen in a minute. Danny, I need you to explain yourself. Explain yourself for this one.
So let me give some backstory to this. Out of all the shows you had named, right? Like I've heard terrible things about You People. I was like, dog, I'm not sitting through that. I'm not sitting through Lauren London trying to kiss Jonah Hill that she really doesn't want to do it. So I wasn't going to sit through that. And then you said Velma, and I was like, or did I say Velma?
No, you said Velma.
I said Velma, and you were like, okay, I'll watch that. I was like, oh, thank God, because I really didn't want to. You said some other stuff. I was like, I don't know. That's a big time commitment. Velma is 25 minutes an episode. You can burn through the season real quick. It's not a lot of commitment. So I had stopped watching Velma until yesterday, and then D was like, "Yo, I'm gonna watch Velma,"
really?
so I had to start watching it
Have
again.
you seen
I
Velma,
stopped
Kyle?
watching
Have you
it.
seen this?
No, I haven't.
It's terrible.
Kyle,
It's a terrible show.
No, it is.
No,
Wow,
Kyle,
I
let
didn't
me
know.
enlighten you. This is not. Listen, I can't even figure out the real tiebacks to the original OG Scooby Doo. If you was out here really watching the OG Scooby Doo or maybe the What's New Scooby Doo in any sort of fashion,
I loved What's New Scooby Doo. Yeah.
I love What's New Scooby Doo. I only heard him say, I would have gotten away with it too one time, and I believe this was before someone got their head chopped off. Yo,
just
Dan,
keep going.
Usually it's the mask coming off, not the head chopped off. I understand the illusion, but
yo, they start this series off in a women's bath. I mean, in a women's locker room. I should have known what was up then.
That scene was
Daphne comes in looking like a hash-slinging slasher from fucking SpongeBob with a fucking club on her hand, talking about some. Oh, you know I'm trying to get you, Daphne. Man, this is some bullshit, man. This is come on.
And they're high schoolers. That's the creepy part about it. They're supposed to be high schoolers. And I think we don't remember that because, like you said, the opening scene is these girls in a shower and they're 16, 17, 18 years old. It's like, yo, this is highly irresponsible because we don't know how old they are. We just know they're in high school. Are they seniors about to graduate? Are they getting their license? Velma doesn't drive. Daphne doesn't drive. So are they 16? How old are these girls? It's a very irresponsible scene. I was like, ugh. All right,
And
this
I
is where we're
really
going with it.
appreciate how they're trying to paint my man Fred in this show. It is
Oh,
nasty.
it gets better.
Essentially, they're painting Fred to be this poor, sad version of a white man who has not hit puberty yet, but everyone knows he's really attractive, and his family is essentially ashamed of him because he a
Keep
punk.
going.
He a
Keep
punk.
going. I
Like
promise. Just keep going. Keep
like
going.
he a bitch.
He is. He is a
He's like,
grade A bitch, but keep going. I promise. The Fred story gets a lot better.
oh,
It gets.
It's funny because you guys
fun.
were, that Scooby Doo. I'm pretty sure it started in the 70s, and my wife and I, we've actually, instead of watching this, we've been watching that 90s show because that just came out.
now I will say, Kyle, I'm with you because I just finished that 90s show. What are your thoughts on that 90s show?
Still have 2 episodes left. But yeah, I thought it was pretty funny, and there were a lot of allusions to that 70s show. There are a lot of plot points, certain conversations.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, this conversation happened 20 years ago.
That was a show that we watched last week.
It's funny how it.
Go ahead.
Sorry, just a little different than Vilma, who you guys are saying there aren't many allusions to the old show. This one, it seems like there's a ton of it, and they did it well. And yeah, no one got their head cut off either, so it wasn't nice. It was nice.
Thank you, Danny. Did you see that 90s show?
So I'm full confession. I really didn't like that 70s show, but if you guys are telling me that 90s show is good, I will give it a shot.
But it's not going to make any sense because you haven't really seen that 70s show.
I mean, I've seen all of that 70s show. I just watched it because of Mila Kunis. I know that 70s show.
Nah, Gar, yo, excuse your horny self, yo. Mila Kunis?
Yeah, she's like, it's funny because you're talking about teenagers in the other show, but I would assume it's probably adult actors playing teenagers. But Mila Kunis is actually a teenager in that show.
I mean, she's older than me, so
at
it was
first
all
anyway.
good.
Like, I guess she's an adult later.
I will say that I'm glad that of that 70s show, I would say the biggest tie-in, Kyle, let me know if you disagree. I say the biggest consistent tie-in is Fez. And they made sure to bring Fez back enough to where I thought he was pretty damn funny in that 90s show. And I was like, I would sign me up for more of that. I don't know how much Netflix gave him the bag to come back because all the OG characters except for Hyde, of course, made an appearance in the show at some point. But you could tell who was making more. Kitty and Red are still like the main grandparents. So they, you know what I'm saying? They get theirs, but like the OG kids, Eric and Donna showed. Eric was only in it like once, right? Donna was in it a few times. What's his name? Kelso was there like once, and then Mila Kunis was in it like once. But Fez was in there like 3 or 4 times, and I dig it. Dan, you should watch it. You should watch it.
I will counter that 90s show with The Last of Us. Has anybody watched The Last of Us?
I haven't been in one of those type of moods with HBO.
Let me tell you.
Yo, in full transparency, I still have not finished the first season of House of the Dragon.
Full transparency, I didn't finish Game of Thrones.
I don't think I really watched Game of Thrones.
No.
Listen, dog, I cannot watch people screwing their cousin. Like, it's dog. I can't do it.
I feel like you guys had this conversation before. You can speak on it.
Do it, man.
First off, they were brother and sister.
Okay, my bad. Like, I can't watch a show where they out here banging. Dog, like
you only see them they only really do like the first episode, and then they really don't see each other for most of this series.
Seeing them do once as brother and sister is enough. Like, I watched the first season.
No, but I was
like, dog, turn this off.
It's pivotal because if you don't catch them doing that, then essentially the series don't take off because if little man don't get pushed out that window, that series does not go off from there.
Listen, any show that has relatives having sex naked, full blown sex, like, it's not for me.
Well, listen, that's how they started the season. You remember how they ended the season? A brother got his head chopped off for no good reason.
It's like Vilma. Everything you want in Game
of Thrones
back. 25 minutes per episode, though, so it's way more efficient. It's funny because rather than TV, we've actually been listening and watching the Kelsey brothers podcast, New Heights. So that's been something that's been occupying us. They do pretty well with it.
I might check it out.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Only other thing that I would say before we get into the Super Bowl, speaking of the Kelsey brothers, you people.
Whoa.
Has anyone
On
else?
Black History Month, you gonna say that?
No. I'm saying the movie, you people. Yo, are you dead ass, yo? Yo, you dead ass. You people. Let me tell you something. The movie, you people. Oh, brother. Let me tell you something. The first 30 minutes, I had to like stop that movie like 2 to 3 times because like I was uncontrollably laughing, getting ready to piss my pants. And then, well, let's just say the plot thickened or never thickened, and I was sitting there wondering, wait, how did this happen so fast? How did we go from y'all meeting to 6 months later y'all are engaged to how now we're figuring out how this family dynamic thing is going to work? I thought that was a little bit rushed. I would say I think they were a little over the top with some of the stereotypes. And this is what I'm going to say. Eddie Murphy's in the movie. I thought Eddie Murphy was pretty hilarious in this movie. Danny, Eddie Murphy was a Nation of Islam Muslim
No,
who
he
was
wasn't.
super militant and was a firm believer in the Farrakhan.
Oh, he was a black Israelite.
Yeah, and so this is Lauren London's parents. Jonah Hill's parents, listen to this, guys, Jewish of the most Jewish of Jew parents you could imagine. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus, aka Mrs. Elaine Bennis, for my Seinfeld fans out here, she is the overcaring Jewish mother. So, just off of that information, this is a romantic comedy. Imagine how the conversation between these two groups of families is going to go when they get together.
Would Kyrie watch this movie and approve?
Listen, there was a part in the movie. They were sitting down. They was at dinner. Eddie Murphy go to start talking about how he met the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, and you can. And he's talking to her parents.
Yeah, let's go to the Super Bowl. Yep. Time to talk about the Super Bowl. Yep. What's up, Gator J? How you doing? Thanks for coming by. We appreciate you spending time with us today.
On this Super Bowl preview.
Yeah, it's time to talk about Super Bowl.
Super Bowl. Holy shit, Super Bowl. Danny. Hold on. Now, if do you want me to talk? Do you want me to kind of enter the Super Bowl since it's a little biased? If you know, but you.
No, I can do it. I can do it. Like because my bias is put to the side for now. So for all you guys who live on the rock, Super Bowl set. It's finally time for the game. We have a great matchup. The two number one seeds, the number one seed NFC, the Philadelphia Eagles, will face the number one seed Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday at 6:30. And Rihanna's doing a halftime show. Some people may call it the Fenty Bowl if you don't care about football. Anyway, probably heard the storylines by now. Two starting black quarterbacks facing each other for the first time ever in the Super Bowl. First time we've had two brothers playing against each other in the Super Bowl. Andy Reid versus former team, yada, yada, yada. But let's talk about the actual play on the field. So out of the offense and the defense and the special team, I will ask you, Kyle, first. Who do you believe has the advantage on each side of the ball?
I mean, special team, you would know this better than I would, but it seems like special team, like the Chiefs are always just so well coached up. And I think it's more just, are they going to have, their key returners available more than anything? But I'd imagine like it's tough to say any team has the edge on special team over the Chiefs. So at the very best, for like in terms of the Eagles scenario, I think it's probably neutral. Like, are the Eagles a strong special teams team?
Hell no. That is my biggest fear. Covey is the worst punt returner in the NFL. That man will fair catch it with no one around for 20 yards. Like the Eagles, each drive going to start at the 20. Like, just go ahead and buckle up. It's going to start at 20.
So I guess we're starting off negative for the Eagles. Okay, already.
Yep.
Sorry. So that 1 point towards the Chiefs. And yeah, CEH is back, which means that's tilting the offense for sure. No, just kidding about that. Defensively, it's weird because both teams, I think, you could say cornerback has been a problem for both teams, especially for the Eagles. It seems like for a while, but it seems like both teams have really resolved that. The secondaries are really good. Obviously, the pass rushes are both quite excellent. It's weird. It's weird to say, even though like the Eagles have Fletcher Cox, that the Chiefs might have the better interior pressure, just because that's being led by Chris Jones.
Yeah.
But yeah, tough to say who has the edge defensively. Both units seem pretty excellent. I guess right now it looks like the Chiefs maybe deal with more injuries on both sides, offensively and defensively, and maybe that's what kind of gives you the edge. Mahomes is kind of this great equalizer, though. So I'll say that while the Eagles have the edge on defense, the Chiefs might have the edge on offense just because of they have the best quarterback in the NFL. Unfortunately, the Eagles don't. He's as excellent as Jalen Hurts has been and looks like he will continue to be.
That's fair. D, go ahead and get your shit off.
Man, I like where Kyle was going. So I start on the offensive end. I think I agree with a lot of what Kyle was saying. I think from a quarterback perspective, the Chiefs have the clear advantage. I mean, you have what I don't want to say clear because that's throwing some shade at Jalen Hurts. The Chiefs have.
No, you can say clear. You can say clear.
Okay. Well, they have the advantage at quarterback, obviously, but I also think they have the advantage at the tight end position with Travis Kelce over Dallas Goedert. Where I may kind of differ in my opinion with Kyle is I think after the quarterback and the tight end position, and maybe you can argue the defensive tackle position, I say of the other 50 positions on the field, I think the Eagles might have the position. I mean, might have the advantage in a lot of positions. I think as a unit, I'm with Kyle. The Philadelphia defense is better. It's funny to hear Danny say that the Eagles don't have the best, don't have the advantage on the special teams. I feels like the Eagles special teams versus the Chiefs, who their key, some of their key offensive skill position players who would likely be returners are likely going to be out or kind of nicked up in the game. I would lean me to give the edge to the Eagles, and just they're probably just going to bring it from an intensity and preparation standpoint. And the Chiefs, while they'll be prepared, you don't know who they're really going to trust to put back there to really return it. So that might be where I lean with Philadelphia. But other than that, I mean, I think the Chiefs really just have the advantage at quarterback and tight end. And to Gator J's point in the chat, Patrick Mahomes does still have a slight ankle issue, but he says he's ready to go. But then when you think about that, when you talk about offensive lines, I would say the Eagles maybe have the better offensive line than the Chiefs. I think really aren't the Eagles top 10 in passing and rushing the ball? Like they can beat you in multiple different ways. I would say maybe Jalen Hurts is a little bit more dynamic using his feet than Patrick Mahomes will be able to be in the Super Bowl. Will that be the X factor the equalizer, right? To Patrick Mahomes' great ability as a passer, Jalen Hurts, man, you have the ability as a rusher to maybe equalize this thing out. And then if the offense will equal out with that, it would lead me to lean one way in terms of who I really think is going to win the game.
It's funny. I'm just looking at the offensive line stats. Got this from Football Outsiders. The Chiefs actually rank higher in adjusted line yards. They're third, and the Eagles are sixth. So, like you're saying, like top 10, top 5 offensive lines. But in adjusted sack rate, the Eagles are 21st. 7.7% sack rate versus the Chiefs at 4.8%. They're in the top 5. So there is there's excellent players on the Chiefs. I think part of the Eagles story, I think part of the reason the stats are lower is Lane Johnson missed a ton of the season, or at least a bit of the season injured. He's back now at right tackle, for an all-pro right tackle. So, maybe the stats are skewed a little bit. I'd at least say I think the Chiefs, this is not the Chiefs offensive line the last time they were in the Super Bowl.
Okay, that's a great
Getting
point.
crushed by the Bucs. I think it's almost 5 new starters. So
yeah, because they revamped it last year. So yeah, okay, that's a great point, Kyle. I forgot about that. Danny.
I have one more research thing. Does anyone,
Go for it.
either of you know? Danny mentioned it, brought it up, the fact it's the 2 1 seeds playing against each other. Do you know last time that the 2 1 seeds did actually square off in the Super Bowl?
2017 Eagles Patriots.
I figured Danny might know that, so I guess that's check mark for the Eagles being a good omen there.
Sometimes all the Eagles need is just to get that number 1 seed.
That's all they need. So I agree with you guys, right? Special teams, I think it's Chiefs, like Eagles return game. the kick return is fine. Punt return scares me. I feel like the Eagles are going to have to start on some long drives. Offense, I give it to, like you said, Mahomes is that dude. I'm not going to sit here and act like he doesn't scare me because he does. But defense, and I want to run, Kyle. It's funny you mentioned that because I keep hearing that the Eagles defense hasn't been tested, but then we're not talking about how the Chiefs offensive line hasn't been tested, right? The Eagles offensive line, you got to play Micah Parsons twice. You got to play Thibodeau. You got to play elite pass rushers week in and week out. The Commanders defensive line is great. I'm looking at the Chiefs schedule. I don't see any team that they've played that has like an elite pass rusher, let alone 6 elite pass rushers. Like we keep talking about how good this Chiefs line is. Tell me where it gets spooky. Cardinals, Chargers, Colts, Bucks, Raiders, the Bills, but I don't think Von Miller was still healthy when they played that game. The Niners, they blew out the Niners, so that's Bosa. Yeah, the Titans, the Jags, the Chargers, the Rams, the Bengals, the Broncos again, Texans, Seattle, Denver, the Raiders. Like I don't think this Chiefs offensive line, it's good, but I don't think the Eagles have 6 guys that you can put on the field, not at once, but you can rotate them that can win individual matchups. Patrick Mahomes is going to be running for his life. We're going to find out what that ankle feel like because Hassan Reddick is going to blow that man up just like he did Brock Purdy, just like he did Josh Johnson. You want to put Travis Kelce in the block, God bless you, because Juju Smith-Schuster doesn't scare anybody. Like, I'm not here to, like, puff my chest, but the Chiefs' offensive line is going to be in some deep trouble, especially if we get to a situation where we know the Chiefs got to pass.
Yeah, and my next question for the Chiefs is, outside of Travis Kelce, who is going to win the one-on-one battles? Like, who is going to...
Hartman's out. He's on IR, so that takes... You don't have a guy that can take the top off the defense. I mean, we got Sky Moore. You got Sky, you got Juju.
We've seen MVS come alive in championship games before. I think about the game against the Bucks. He might have arguably been the best player for the Packers in that game, and they unfortunately lost. In this case, he won. Don't know what he's going to do in a Super Bowl, though, but he's never played in a Super Bowl, but at least he looks like he's certainly the healthiest wide receiver with some experience. So it's maybe going to have to be Marquez Valdes-Scantling that wins a lot of those one-on-one matchups. And that's tough against whether it's against Bradbury or against Slay. Like those are tough matchups.
Like
the one thing I'll say is both teams, it's the toughest test that either of them have faced this year, and which makes sense. These are probably the 2 best records in the NFL. Again, the 2 1 seeds, so it makes sense that neither has faced a team this good all season unless they would have played each other, and they haven't.
Yeah, and I'll say the thing that does scare me, though, is Jonathan Gannon's defense does not hold against competent quarterbacks, right? Dak Prescott has eaten that defensive line ever since Jonathan Gannon got there. Like any quarterback that's somewhat decent figures out Jonathan Gannon's zone rather easily. So these pass rushers are going to have to take over if the Eagles stand a chance. If not, it's just going to be a shootout. I think the Eagles have the horses to keep up, but I'd rather not get in a shootout with Patrick Mahomes if I can avoid it. I would rather limit the time. Like if Patrick Mahomes has 8 possessions or under, the Eagles have won this game.
So that's what you think the game script is going to look like for the game?
It has to. It has to. Like I'm running at Chris Jones. I'm double teaming, and I'm taking those runs. Like I'm running the ball down their throat, and I'm daring them to stop me. Like I don't see Jalen Hurts throwing for 350 and 3 touchdowns. I think he'll take his shots, but for me, it's you want to. Let's run it. I don't think. Chris Jones is the only thing that scares you. Like the linebacker scare you in the red zone. I could see Jalen throwing. I think the Chiefs are one of the worst teams guarding tight ends in the red zone. So I could see something to Dallas Goedert in the red zone. But between the 20s and in the red zone, hey, we handing this joint off. We run a read option. I mean, we run some screens off of that. But I'm playing keep away. If I can put together 4 or 5 possessions that are over 5 minutes, Eagles win this game.
Gator's got a lot of good comments and good research here since I'm not doing it tonight. But both had MVP candidates, 2017 Eagles, 2022 Eagles. Both started 1-11.
He thinks the Chiefs are going to go down a blaze of glory with Mahomes getting sacked 5 times and throws 2 picks. Let me tell you about what I think my game script, I think
Go for
the Chiefs are going to come out with a run-heavy script early to try to offset, try to throw you guys off. Wouldn't surprise me if they take you down the field first drive, mostly running the ball and scoring off like a play action pass. They go up like 7-0. You guys take a drive or two to kind of figure some things out, and then you guys start clicking.
Second quarter Eagles, they come alive.
Yeah, start coming alive like second quarter. I think you guys go up in the halftime like 21-7. Up 21-7. I think they're going to come out, get the ball second half, score a touchdown, make it 21-14. And then I think it's just going to be a third quarter barrage of just scoring by the Eagles. It's going to be too much. I ultimately think the Eagles are going to end up pulling this one out like 35-24.
I would love
that. I like the way you map that out.
Yeah.
Just because, like, sorry, Danny, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Kyle. Go. My bad.
What my quick comment would be like that, Andy Reid, you usually give him all this time to prepare. Opening drive is going to be something that, like I said, unexpected. They'll make things work, and then eventually the Eagles will adjust. Yeah, I'd imagine the Chiefs are leading after the first quarter, but the Eagles are leading at halftime, and then I don't know. Tough to say. Mahomes, I think the Super Bowl he won, they were down going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
It's an insurmountable lead, like 50 points going into a quarter, but like it seems like there's almost no lead is safe with him at quarterback. So
Danny, I would say
the Eagles, if they get a big lead, that seems like the one thing. Danny, you've obviously watched every game this year. They get the big leads early, and then they kind of coast on it almost a little bit too much, and maybe let teams come back. Like this seems like the one team you really can't allow to let come back like that. It's got to be pedal to the metal the whole way.
So I think the Eagles are down 10-0, maybe even 14-0 before they figured it out. One of the questions was, what do you think the script will look like? For me, the script is going to be Eagles up 3, 7 minutes to go in the fourth, ball on their 20. And I think one of the things the Eagles will do better than anyone is put together long drives that eat up a lot of clock that end in scores. So up 3 at your 20, 7 minutes to go, I think they run it down to 2 minutes, score up 10 with 2 minutes, and pray to God Patrick Mahomes doesn't do anything spectacular.
It's hard to score 10 points in 2 minutes.
He is Patrick Mahomes.
So you have the Eagles winning, Danny. I have the Eagles winning. Kyle, what say you, my friend?
I think he is Patrick Mahomes, and even before the season started, my preseason pick was Chiefs. Like I said, Chiefs Bucks or Chiefs Packers, depending on how confident I felt. But yeah, I think but in both instances, I was saying that I thought the Chiefs were going to win the Super Bowl. They've come this far, so I may as well stick with them now.
Yeah, fair.
And I guess Gator's asking a good question. Like D mentioning, you're taking the over then.
Yes.
What are they at? Last time I checked, it was 50.5. Is that line still there?
I don't know what exactly the over is right now, but I'm definitely taking.
Yeah, I'm seeing 50.5. Of course, if you want to check on Underdog, use the promo code GF2 and sign up. Use the double deposit match. Try and be like Dan and on the Monday Night Show and plug it a few times. But yeah, I don't know what Underdog says right now, but what I see is 50.5. So it looks like that line's been pretty stable, and just because of how good these defenses are, I'd be tempted to take the under. I remember seeing somewhere that was mentioned the Chiefs, I think like 11 of the last 18 games or something, like almost the entire season, they've hit the under. Gator saying it's 51 on DraftKings. So I don't know. I'm kind of feeling the under on the. I don't think it'll hit 50. I think it might come close, but these with how good both of these defenses are, I don't think either team will be blown out. I think the both defenses being as good as they are will keep both offenses in check from completely dominating the game.
Let's hope. I also said San Francisco wouldn't get blown out, and they just didn't show up. And last thing before we start talking about some head coaches around the league. To all you 49ers fans, rest in piss for one. Rest in fucking piss for one.
Piss.
And for two, it didn't matter if it was Brock Purdy, Josh Johnson, Dwayne Rock Johnson, Byron Johnson,
Jesus Christ Johnson.
Vince Carter Johnson, Jalen Johnson.
I think the Rock Johnson was a linebacker, so
yeah, it don't matter.
Probably wouldn't have done well
at quarterback.
It did not matter who the quarterback was. That ass cooking whatever was coming. Pause.
You're gonna get smoked.
Like,
Thank you.
It was from the first drive to the very last drive. I said the 49ers have no business being on the field right now. Even when Brock Purdy was in hell. Brock Purdy was in hell. For that one drive, he was in hell.
Frauds. All I heard about was that Vaughn defense. Where was Bosa? Was there a rally nearby we don't know about? I didn't see him at all.
Hold on now. That defense, they was playing until they realized they was not getting no help from their offense. You can see them.
The Ravens figured it out with Trent Dilfer.
The one thing I'll say is I felt like the 49ers held the Eagles. I mean, other than that one Devontae Smith catch, no catch, the big play aspect of the Eagles offense wasn't there. But I thought the Eagles executed at key times. When they got to the red zone, they were efficient in the red zone. And that's usually the mark of, like, can a team win a championship or just a playoff contender? Are they converting those red zone opportunities into touchdown as opposed to field goals? It seems like the Eagles are really good in that area.
Mm-hmm. And Jalen overthrew AJ a couple of times. The big play was there. It's just Jalen's off. And I hope his shoulder is okay because they're going to need the threat. I don't think AJ or Devontae are going to have huge games, but they're going to have to hit on some deep balls at least once or twice to keep that Chiefs defense honest. Because if not, like, they're just going to stack the box if they think Jalen can't throw.
Lost in that Devontae Smith catch, no catch, a couple plays before, or I guess it would have been like 4 or 5 plays before. The Eagles gained a first down. AJ Brown caught this pass like off the turf, basically.
Yeah.
Like that was incredibly impressive. And then that other catch happened. We later realized it wasn't a catch. I was like, oh my God, like 2 insane catches by Smith and AJ Brown on the opening drive. What are we in for today?
2 more things before we go ahead, D. My bad.
One thing I'm gonna say is this: if there was a sleeper for longest touchdown reception by any player in this game, Quez Watkins.
Don't throw Quez Watkins the ball. Any target to Quez Watkins is a wasted target.
I was gonna say I think he has 0 catches in the playoffs so far.
Good. It just stay that way. Any target to Quez is a wasted target.
That's fast.
2 things.
Who's got the best odds on that? Like, who's like the favorite for that, D?
Probably Marquez Valdes-Scantling.
That's what I was. If it's not MVS, that would be probably a smart pick to make because it like a long catch specialist. But Devontae, I mean, I guess if it's either him or Devontae Smith, whoever has the worst odds is probably the one I would pick because it feels like you win more that way. But yeah.
Who wins Super Bowl MVP?
See, I think. If I was saying the Chiefs win, it'd have to be Mahomes unless Chris Jones was just that dominant, especially against this Eagles offensive line. Like, he got multiple sacks, especially picking the under. So maybe I'll make the cute pick and say Chris Jones is in back-to-back weeks the best player on the field, even though his teammate is Patrick Mahomes.
Boston Scott.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and put money on that.
Boston Scott with the James White performance of his life.
I'll take it. I was going to say Hassan Reddick, but if you got an extra $10, put some money on Josh Sweat. If all the attention is going to go to Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat is going to be on the other side by himself, and he can definitely win one-on-one matches. He's going to be on Patrick's blind side. If anyone's going to get to Patrick, it's going to be Josh Sweat. So I can whatever the over is for the sack total, take it. I don't care if it's 5. I don't care if it's 6.5. Like, the Eagles are going to get home.
And I mean, as much as we talk about, Chris Jones is the dominant force in that defense. Like, Frank Clark can still get sacks too, so it's not like the Eagles can just focus on Jones.
Yeah, but
the next interior. But
I feel like the Eagles' offensive line is more battle tested than the Chiefs. Like, again, they faced Micah Parsons, Dallas twice. They faced the Commanders twice. They faced some hitters this year who can rush the passer, and Lane Johnson with a torn groin shut Bosa down. Like, if old boy still has the step, he can beat Mailata. Mailata struggles with speed rushers, but Chris Jones is a defensive tackle. Like, I mean, you can put him on the edge if you want. He'll get run over. Not to disrespect Chris Jones, because he definitely was the best player in the field last week. I think the Eagles' offensive line is more tested than the Chiefs' offensive line.
But I'll say I do agree with you, like saying going the over on the sacks, because I think like especially if both teams could possibly get it, but yeah, the Eagles could certainly push that total high. The one thing I'll say about Boston Scott, you said James White type performance. I'm pretty sure James White set an NFL record or a Super Bowl record for catches, like with 14 receptions. Boston Scott had 5 catches this year. So I don't think James White is the comparison you want to look for a Boston Scott.
Danny.
I think you need more like a Terrell Davis, like 3 touchdown performance. That would probably be it. I think if any.
But how is he going to get those receptions? I mean, those touchdowns, though. I think he's going to have 2, maybe 3. I think he's going to have 2 touchdown receptions and a touchdown rush.
If he has that, let me tell you,
that seems like a Kenny Gainwell thing more than a Boston Scott.
Yeah, I feel like that's like Kyle said, Boston's not much of a receiver.
My pick is my pick, and I'm sticking with it.
Like I think, and for those, I think Kenny Gainwell, the over under is like 39.5 rushing yards. Take the over, like dog, take the over, because he's now Miles Sanders' main backup. Like take the over on Kenny Gainwell's rushing if it's at 39.5 still.
It's crazy because the week before, I remember the week before against the 49ers, I actually thought it was a smart bet. It was down to like 18.5. And I mean, clearly, I guess it was, the defense that they were facing. I don't know. I don't even know if he hit it, to be honest. So that might have been smart for them to set the line there. Because, Gainwell had a great game against the Giants. Oh, no, he definitely hit it against the 49ers. 48 yards. Yeah. He smashed it. So if it's low like that again, yeah, that's smart. I think.
All right,
let's be good.
Yeah, earn some easy money. Vegas is giving it to you.
Well, and the other point I had made was his combined rushing receiving was like it was less than 30, so he would have got more than that on the rushing. So yeah, Gainwell lines could be good. I mean, even the Boston Scott lines are pretty low to D's point. Like they're probably better bets on that than the Miles Sanders lines. Because, as the starter, his is going to be higher. I've seen, I guess his combined is 65.5 right now for Miles Sanders, 58.5 rushing.
Might not be bad.
I could see him going under and getting the touchdowns, and it'd be a better fantasy play but not hitting the prop. I'd still probably rather bet on Gainwell, though they'll probably be a lot lower.
I will. Let's talk about some NFL head coaches. So, another news. The New Orleans Saints sent Sean Payton packing to Denver. D'Amico Ryans is now in Houston. So for you two, I mean, there's still some positions that need to be filled, but these are the 2 big ones. What are your thoughts on the hire? Kyle, we'll start with you.
Well, I think with the D'Amico Ryans, one of the things that was clear, I believe you guys spoke of this, but a few different sources spoke with this, hiring a black coach to be just a 1-year kind of, tank for us so that we can get the next guy. Tank for us till we get the next guy. They in theory they could still fire D'Amico Ryans after 1 year, but they will be paying him quite a bit to do so. A 6-year contract. So I think that was key on his part. I'll take this. As a black, well, at the time want to be head coach, now currently head coach. You feel like, these opportunities won't always be there. So when they do come and a team seems like they're really interested, okay, you can say you're interested, but prove with your pocketbook that you're interested and give me the contract and the term, especially, I think was probably the most important thing. So it looks like they'll give him the shot. I'd imagine they're taking quarterback with their pick, whether they pick at 102. I mean, do the Bears pull a San Francisco did with the Bears and get them to trade up one pick? Just because apparently some other team will be trying to get up and get their guy. But either way, it looks like this is a team that they've committed to the rebuild. They'll pair this D'Amico Ryans with a franchise quarterback that they're drafting, and they'll start together in year one together with that synchronicity. So I think that at least if that you've got that coherence, especially if Ryans has his sights set on a specific quarterback and they see eye to eye, with management, or he sees eye to eye with management, his coaching staff does. Like who that quarterback is, they can kind of build around that. We going for 2, talk fantasy. From a fantasy perspective, though, I think it is tough to know until we find out who the offensive coordinator is, because I don't believe the Texans have hired their OC yet. So we don't know who's going to, imagine D'Amico Ryans, if he's not calling plays on defense, it's at least his defensive system that's being installed. But I'd imagine he brings someone else in to kind of run their offense while he learns how to be a head coach for the first time. As much as he'd probably focus a lot on the defense, he'll always have to also have his head coaching duties to fill in. So how that offense is going to operate is still going to be, I mean, maybe that quarterback discussion hinges on who the offensive coordinator is. Maybe there's, who Ryan wants at OC is a different opinion on quarterback. So that's interesting how that all shakes out.
Yeah. I mean, my thoughts, I want to go more to Denver. I think Kyle did a great job in talking about Houston. I want to go to Denver real quick because I saw this headline and all I could do is laugh. I laughed for a little bit because I'm like, okay, y'all went from hiring someone in Nathaniel Hackett who had no head coaching experience. Now you're bringing in Sean Payton, someone who has clear, proven head coaching experience. And he's clearly offensive minded. But my first thought was, I laughed and I was like, what the fuck makes y'all think he wants Russell Wilson as his quarterback?
He ain't got no choice.
Like, okay, he ain't got no choice. Okay, so now I'm thinking, you don't have a choice. This is your quarterback. Yo, what if you bring this offensive system in and this guy still stinks? Now what do you do, Sean Payton?
Retire again. Him's fine. It's the Broncos that are more screwed.
Yeah, for real.
So my first thought was, is this really the destination you want to go, Sean Payton? Or were you so eager to jump back into coaching and you were upset when Mike McCarthy didn't get fired that you just went to the next best job?
That is where my head is at.
I think that's honestly what happened, because I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, because remember when he first when Dallas basically essentially came out and said they're not firing Mike McCarthy, you heard the reports that Sean Payton was going to go back into the broadcast booth. I was like, yo, you should wait for a young team, like a team that has nothing. Be the next Doug Peterson. Just come back, and now you go to a team with real, they're going to come back with real Super Bowl aspirations. You're not going to talk to anyone in Denver that's not going to look at this roster with the quarterback and what he's getting paid, with now the head coach, and say, you're talking about a guy whose teams was essentially always contenders year in and year out, supposedly, in the Saints. Now, they didn't win anything, but they had a lot of good teams. And there are people out here who are thinking the same thing is going to happen in Denver. I'm here to tell you, no, it won't. Denver, you're still going to be in hell, because as long as Patrick Mahomes is quarterbacking and Justin Herbert is quarterbacking, those are 4 games that you may not win.
And if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Raiders, then Russell Wilson's very clearly the 4th best quarterback in the division.
Yeah, Kyle, we're going to talk about that later. I think that's funny too. But let's just say maybe Aaron Rodgers goes to Vegas. You're going to have the 4th best quarterback in the division that's been won by the same team 7 years in a row, including 3 Super Bowl appearances by one team, which means, sir, you're in the division clearly with the team. You got to figure that shit the fuck out. Sean Payton, God bless. I know the bag was crazy. God bless. God bless.
There's nothing else to add to what you just said except D'Amico. During Black History Month, you saw what they did to 2 of your brothers, and you still took that job.
Yeah.
I mean, I get Kyle said it, those opportunities are few and far between. So if someone gives you one,
and he made them pay him.
And it sounds like he might have been able to choose to go to the Broncos, and because D, you connected the dots, the timing. It seems like the timing, the Broncos made the trade after Houston hired D'Amico, almost like they didn't want to pay the first. But then once they lost out on maybe the 2-3 coaches that seemed like, there were 3 coaches they really wanted, but one cost a 1st-round pick as well as the salary. So he would have been the last option for them. And it seems like once D'Amico Ryan was hired, then they made the trade. So It's funny, D, how you're talking about, you're talking about, is Wilson at the best spot, but Danny, you're right. Ryans chose the Texans over the Broncos essentially. And he could have maybe gone to the Cardinals too. It seems like the Panthers were always tied to Frank Reich. I don't know if that was one where he might have not had it, but it seems like D'Amico Ryans, outside of it saying Frank Reich to the Colts, seems like he was the hot hire that had his choice of jobs. And maybe strange that he did choose the Texans. So,
speaking of which, I'm glad you brought that name up. Frank Wright, you must be one of the nicest men out here on planet Earth. Like you must just be a nice dude. I don't understand it. You just got to be a nice dude. That's all I'm gonna say. You just got to
wait to another spot where he doesn't have a quarterback. So good luck, dude.
Yeah, like you just got to. He has to be a nice. He has to be a nice individual because I just don't understand how and why.
I mean, you got the best out of Carson Wentz, and you've seen the worst out of Carson Wentz. So that's quite a wide range.
Frank Wright been riding that for the past 5 years. One quick question. One more thing. Out of those two teams, which team makes the playoffs first? I feel like we're all going to say the same thing.
Which two? Houston, Denver?
Yeah.
The Texans.
Yeah. I'm with the Texans.
Kyle. I can see Denver doing it. I just think of how far. I mean, the Texans were like they've been one of the worst teams in the NFL the last 2 years. Like they you know, other than the god awful Chicago Bears, they would have been the worst team. So they have a lot of road to go to get better, I think. So
but at the same time, I could see where they play the Tennessee Titans, the Indianapolis Colts.
Put some respect on Jacksonville's name.
Jacksonville.
They're gonna struggle with Jacksonville, but that's 4 games that they got a chance to look decent.
And I guess, it's funny. Let's see where Aaron Rodgers lands. Because if he goes to the Raiders, I'll say it's the Texans that are sooner to make the division. If he gets traded to the Titans or the Colts, though, that's a tougher division there. I maybe say the Broncos have a bit of an easier path.
I think Aaron would raise holy hell if they were like, "Hey, dog, we sending you to Indianapolis."
Yo, I'm gonna feel bad for my man because come on, bro.
You wanted Michael Pittman instead of Jordan Love. Here you go.
Yeah, right. Like, all right, man, you get him. Yeah, I'm with you, D. I think it's the Texans. Texans have the 5th most cap space. They have 2 picks in the top 10, and they play in the AFC South. But we'll see. Are you guys ready to shift gears to talk about some basketball?
Talk to me.
Shoot.
Let's do it. So the trade deadline is approaching. It is Thursday. It's Thursday at noon Eastern, I believe. So far, the biggest trade that we've gotten, unfortunately, is Kyrie to the Mavericks for Dorian Finney-Smith, Spencer Dinwiddie, and a first-round pick. The Nets tried to add the Raptors into that trade yesterday to try to get Fred VanVleet. They could not do that. I know I'm the Maverick fan. I don't want to go first. I don't want to be doom and gloom. So, D, what are your thoughts on this trade?
I'm going to just look into the camera when I say this. Lakers, at this point, just sit in the corner next time, dog. Stop putting these headlines out. Stop getting people's hopes up. It's clear that when you're the Los Angeles Lakers, nobody really wants to trade with you. Nobody ever really wants to trade with the Los Angeles Lakers unless it means this trade is going to favor the other team that is not the Los Angeles Lakers. You know why? Because the league is still upset with the Pelicans for making that trade with the Lakers because they won a championship the year later. It's clear. There's a Lakers tax out here. Now, second note, are y'all dead ass with that trade offer that y'all put out there to them? Are y'all dead ass? Y'all was hesitant about moving Max Christie and Austin Reeves and some picks for Kyrie. Man, if you don't get these Bron, it's not you, big dog. It's not you. It's not you. You know what? Let's just get to the end of the season. I have a feeling
he might break the record tonight.
Huh?
He might break the record tonight. You got that.
Bron, let's just get to next season, man. You are the all-time leading scorer. You're the greatest of all time. I don't think there's listen. The Nets are dirty for how they handled that. They intentionally did not have any intentions of actually trading with the Lakers. So you can see what they was really trying to do and what type of time they was really on. Okay. All right. Congratulations. Y'all made the Lakers look like some damn dummies and some fools. Now y'all got to deal with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. And how the hell that backcourt is going to be able to play any defense. God bless. God bless.
We should have just titled the episode "God Bless."
We went to the Western Conference Final last year without him.
Kyle, what are your thoughts?
I mean, Kyrie's a great player. So just to that is that, they went to the Western Conference Final last year, but was it? It's funny because I think you guys last year spoke about this. Was it going to be another Trailblazers, right? They went to the Western Conference Final against the Warriors and got smacked 4 straight the one year. And it was never even close. And that's probably the pinnacle of how far Lillard and McCollum could get that team. Was this destined to be what the Mavericks are, just Western Conference finalists? But I don't know. This move says kind of all in. We're willing to take that step to that move to make the next step. So, Spencer Dinwiddie's a great player, but you're essentially replacing him with Kyrie. So is everything they gave on top that detrimental to them competing? Because I'd say Kyrie's a better player than Spencer Dinwiddie. All due respect to Dinwiddie. So is that upgrade worth what you gave up? Danny, you're the Luka fan. I should say Mavericks fan, but
in 2 years, Luka will have 1 year left on his contract, and he's going to walk into Mark Cuban's office. And he's going to say, "Get me the fuck out of here. I'm tired of this." And he's going to demand a trade. And when he does that, this is going to be another chapter in the book on why does Luka want out of Dallas? The Kristaps Porzingis trade didn't work. You didn't pay Jalen Brunson last Christmas. You didn't pay him this offseason. And now you don't went and traded Dorian Finney-Smith, which is Luka's best friend on the team. But apparently Luka signed off on it. So, okay, for a man who's going to leave this summer to go to the Lakers, the only thing that works for Dallas this summer is a sign and trade with the Lakers because they have Kyrie's bird rights, can give him more money, so they can do a sign and trade with the Lakers. I don't know if the Lakers have a max slot. I'm sure they would make one if Kyrie expresses "Hey, I'm going to LA. Let's do a sign and trade." He's going to be on his best behavior for 3 weeks, and then he's going to be walking around Dallas saying JFK is alive. On the court.
I'm sorry, John. Wherever you are, I'm so sorry, John.
If he's alive, I guess we should apologize if they can't hear.
I'm so sorry, John, because we know that is not the case.
I can see Kyrie right before the playoffs. Hey man, JFK not dead. He didn't die here in Dallas.
That's not. And the thing is, that's not how he gonna present that. He gonna say he's been feeling enlightened and was taking a drive, and he found himself on the same road that JFK was on, and then he tied it all back to how his ancestors would never. And it's gonna set this whole thing off. And it's gonna be is the CIA really the Central Intelligence Agency?
Yep.
And what does that really mean by Central Intelligence?
This is the second thing he's going to do. Who else is in Dallas right now? Jerry Jones. He's gonna call Jerry a racist. He's gonna go to a podium and he's gonna be "Yeah, I saw that picture of Jerry. Jerry a racist." And that's gonna be it. Jerry gonna call Mark and say, "Hey, get that up out of here. I don't care what month it is. He got to go."
You know what? He might accidentally say something I'm glad to be a part of an organization like the Mavericks where our owner is really, a really man of the people and united and cultured. Unfortunately, we've seen other owners here in Dallas and how they like to portray themselves in the media.
Yep, that's it. Or the third thing he's going to do is he's going to say something about, "Man, too many people have guns down here in Texas. Maybe we should talk about gun control." And that, you talking about the Black Israelites outside of the Brooklyn Stadium. Wait till the Texas Rangers line up outside of American Airlines with the straps.
Oh, brother. Brother.
All jokes aside, though, on the court, I think this can work. I think the Mavericks need to make one more move to get a perimeter defender. Kyle, I would love for them to call the Raptors and see if Pascal Siakam is available and what would it take to get Pascal. Again, or OG Anunoby. They need a wing defender.
Y'all got Christian Wood. That's y'all big.
I said a wing defender, and Christian Wood is going to be part of that trade to get that wing defender. Hey man, he should be rested. He ain't played basketball since Luka torched him Game 7 last year. He had plenty of rest, but I will say, On the court, I'm kind of excited to see how this works. If Kyrie leaves this summer, which I think he is, I think the Mavericks just wasted a first round pick, but I think they're going to try to recoup it this summer with the sign and trade with the Lakers to get Kyrie to LA. And that'll open up, this should also open up a max slot for the Mavericks to go shopping this summer. But the question is, what free agent this summer excites you enough to give them a max contract? You got Russell Westbrook, Chris Middleton. Like there's not the second star that you're looking for to pair with Luka to justify giving someone that max slot. So I think they're going to be in a bind this summer. I think that sign and trade with Kyrie. I think the Mavericks are going to try to get those 2 first-round picks from the Lakers that they refuse to give up, and then take those 2 first-round picks and maybe something else. Maybe you do Christian Wood in a sign and trade as well, and that's how they try to get Luka a second star. I don't know who that person is. But that's how I would try to play it if I were the Mavericks.
God bless. God bless Dallas.
I mean, Mark's going to offer Kyrie the 2-year max, which is 2 years, 80. I think Kyrie wants the 4 for 200, which he should. I don't know if Mark's going to give him 4 for 2, but I know Jeannie Buss will.
Damn right. You damn right.
And I mean, to the point about the Raptors, it looks like they are probably going to be more in seller mode this year. Although I'm looking at it, they're basically tied for that 10th spot in the East. And I guess comparing conferences, the East looks like the weaker conference at the bottom end anyway.
The Raptors are like first team, all effort and energy and vibes.
So does that?
Can we talk about that as a collective? Since we're here talking about basketball, and I know Danny, we're gonna get into our quick hitter section. This can be a good starter. Let's talk about some NBA teams that are out here. And I like to call them first team, all hoops and vibes. And what this means is, yo, fam, there's not a lot of winning basketball going. No, I shouldn't say this. There's not a lot of winning effort being put in. It's straight 5 dudes who just hoop, who are just out here hooping. Let me give y'all some examples. Y'all probably see where I'm going. The Houston Rockets, top of the list. First team, all hoops.
Top of the list, bottom of the standings. Makes sense.
Yep.
If y'all have watched the Houston Rockets play basketball, you just be like, yo, these are just 5 dudes who just came together in one uniform. Just 5 first team, all hoops, Houston Rockets. The Raptors are second up there. Just 5 dudes. I'm just like, yo, y'all play hard, but y'all are just 5 dudes just out here hooping.
Do not forget the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Oh, man. That was third on my list. The Minnesota Timberwolves, first team straight, all vibes and hoops. And I like it because shout out Ant-Man, but all vibes.
Ant-Man. Can we pause on Ant-Man for a second?
And the Cheetos.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that's a great basketball name.
My brother, take care of your body. Imagine how great you would be if you didn't eat hot Cheetos all day.
Who are we even talking about, by the way? I have no idea.
Anthony Edwards. He eats like junk.
He eats a lot of hot Cheetos.
Oh, he eats like I do. Okay. Yeah, I'm not an NBA player, clearly. Just looking at the NBA standings, because I haven't done this in a while, and I have literally seen this team 0 at all this year. How are the Sacramento Kings still doing this good? I noticed them earlier in the season.
Because they got off of being first team, all vibes and hoops, and finally decided to start putting some winning basketball on both ends of the floor out there.
Mike Brown.
There you go.
Mike Brown.
Yep. And Stephen Silas, listen, you can't be at the podium upset at your team. Yo, I read a stat. In the last 2 games, the Houston Rockets have let their opponents score almost close to 250 points. And they have been outscored by close to 50 points in both of those games.
Mr. Silas, enjoy a seat beside Greg Popovich next year in San Antonio.
Oh, brother. All right, Danny, quick hitters. Let's do it.
Cowboys depart with Kellen Moore and then say, let's go hire Brian Schottenheimer. How do you think Kellen Moore and Justin Herbert will blend and pair together?
I think Justin Herbert and Kellen Moore are about to do some things next year. I think that offense could be nice if they could figure it out right. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. Justin Herbert's had a lot of offensive coordinators, so hopefully he's able to learn the system pretty fast. Now, on the flip side, Cowboys and Brian Schottenheimer. If the thought before was to get more offense into Dallas and you went to Brian Schottenheimer, well, Mike McCarthy, I think next year might be your last year in Dallas, buddy. I'm just being honest with you.
He said that last year, though.
Yeah, we did.
Touche.
And now Sean Payton's off the market. If anything, like McCarthy's extended himself like 5 years.
Yeah, for real.
I don't understand.
I'll
this
say
is
that-
crazy to me because it seemed like if it wasn't going to be Sean Payton, it was going to be Kellen Moore that was going to eventually replace McCarthy. So, like, is McCarthy just kind of like his job, especially with Brian Schottenheimer, to see like he ain't replacing him. So, like,
we still got Dan Quinn on staff.
Dan Quinn, like, yeah, that would be the one guy.
If I'm Dan Quinn, I'm just.
Do we see McCarthy get fired mid-season?
No, I don't think that happens. Jerry's going to ride that thing out to the end of the season. I don't think Jerry's going to fire mid-season unless they're like
both years as head coach, right? So like let's prove that you can't make the playoffs again.
Yeah,
and he won a playoff game this year.
Yeah, and I listen. People don't like to give Jerry a lot of credit. Jerry a little bit clashier than people give him credit. He ain't gonna fire you midway through the season unless you was really fucking out, Jason.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, look how long he hung on to Jason Garrett for. So, Mike McCarthy's probably there for the next 5 years, honestly. I'm convinced of this.
For me, it's if you're Dallas, you fire Kellen Moore and he gets a job less than 24 hours later. Like the Chargers, says, screw the Rooney Rule. We'll pay whatever fine. We just need Kellen Moore here with us in LA. That's a big red flag for me.
That Rooney Rule is such BS. Go ahead.
All right, let's. Kyle, you're wearing the shirt. Y'all were talking about it pre-show. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Are we watching a breakup?
So it sounds like the reports are they'll only trade him to the AFC. And then I kind of went through my mind, there's only really so you're already just eliminating half the league right there. So we're only trading with this half of the league. You look at that conference, you almost split them in half because half that conference already has established franchise quarterbacks. They're not trading for Rodgers. And then I look at, there's 3 teams that could potentially do it, but I doubt will. One's the Texans, and I think it would be we're choosing Rodgers over the 102 because I wonder if, okay, Texans, you want Aaron Rodgers? Yeah, that 102 is going to look real nice. So I could see them just, okay, we're going to build around whoever is our franchise quarterback at 102. So I don't think the Texans trade for him. And then Mac Jones and Kenny Pickett, former first rounders themselves, do their franchises choose to forego some years of their development and bring in Aaron Rodgers? I doubt it on both instances. Neither of those coaches seems like they're a rash, patience. They got good defenses they can build around these young quarterbacks. So I imagine you take those teams out. There's really 5 teams that could trade for Rodgers. We've joked about a couple of them. The Raiders, a couple of the other teams in the AFC South, the Titans, the Colts. There's the team that everyone seems like is the most rumored right now is the Jets. And then, I guess 4 teams. What's the other division? I thought there was a 5th team, but I guess those are the 4 I'm naming right now. Raiders, Colts, Titans, Jets.
I'm going to throw a team out there that no one may be considering, but why not? The Dolphins.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. That'd be really interesting.
They could be looking at it as we don't know if our quarterback's ever really going to play again. He's already getting close to finishing out his rookie deal.
Do the Packers get Tua? I'd be down with that. As a Packers fan, I'd love that. Forget Jordan Love. I'll go with Tua.
Really?
I don't think they trade for Tua. I think they try to trade for a Jalen Waddle or
you're not getting Jalen Waddle.
You see, that's
going
to be.
I
don't know. I think
Tua's
showing up
this year. Trade for, you know what I'm saying?
I'd give up a bunch of picks.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what teams are going to try and do. But I'm with D on insist on a player. And the Jets, I think, make a lot of sense because I think they've got the draft ammunition. Getting Elijah Moore back in the trade, I think, would count as, okay, that's an extra pick that the Jets don't have to give up. It's also a player that, requested a trade last year. Mm-hmm. Probably they don't want to just outright trade him as a piece of a deal to give in to their trade demands. But if he's a piece to add to this Aaron Rodgers trade, they feel like, okay, we can move on from him, but we not feel like we're giving in to his demands. Like it's whatever it takes to get the franchise guy in Rodgers for however many years it's going to be. So I could see that being something where the Packers give Jordan Love another weapon, a la Jalen Waddle. I think not to the same extent as Waddle, and to Danny's credit, like that's a reason for that. Like, because I don't think the Jets are giving up Garrett Wilson. If the Packers insist on Garrett Wilson, no, we don't want first, we want Garrett Wilson. I think the Jets just say no, and we'll figure it out. Yeah. But I think Garrett Wilson, and I mean, like, Sauce Gardner, probably only the few untouchables on that team, and I could see Elijah Moore being a piece that the Packers could see as, man, like he could potentially develop into the wide receiver one on the team. He's he could play him in the slot, the outside, a great route runner. Give him a connection with Jordan Love. Can't be worse than his connection with Zach Wilson, right? So I could see that as he gets someone who not only complements Christian Watson, but could usurp him as the alpha on the team. So you're adding to Jordan Love, and plus, because it's not going to be just Elijah Moore. It'd be probably a first and Elijah Moore and maybe another late pick. You're surrounding Love with enough there. Not just with Moore, but also getting that extra first-round pick. I would imagine if it's the Jets' first this year, that gives the Packers 2 top 20 picks. Yeah. Something, do they use that to move up and get an extra second and get an elite asset, or they're content taking 2 top 20 picks and adding 2 pieces to the team, maybe 2 pieces of the defense like they did last year, of course. But yeah, so I could the Raiders, the connection between him and Adams. But yeah, Colts make sense. I think the Titans are kind of a low-key kind of dark horse team that I could see making the trade.
I'd laugh if he ended up going to Tennessee.
That's a big FU to him. Yeah. Tom Brady finally called it a career again, but this time he is for real. He was out here sending thirst traps to Giselle and accidentally shared it with the whole internet. But
accidentally.
Yeah, that was
Mr. Perfect decision making, always making the right call, just accidentally. I guess that was my theory last year with the Bill Belichick, Brian Flores, Brian Dable text. Yeah, Mr. Attention to all these details. Accidentally texted the wrong Brian. I don't know about that.
There was no accident about it. Yo, all I'm gonna say is, hey Tom, God bless. God bless. God bless. Hell of a career. It's been an honor. You know where I stand in the greatest of all time. I think you're right there, 1 and 2. My personal one is Aaron Rodgers, but I recognize Tom, you are him when it comes to being in these big moments. Winning, you're the most accomplished. Salute. God bless. The NFC South is spooky again. It's spooky again in the NFC South. That's all I'm
pretty spooky this year.
It's spooky now.
Cam Jordan said at the Pro Bowl, he was like, "Oh, I think essentially like, oh, the Saints can finally go back to being on top of what, dog?
We could be the below 500 team to make the playoffs."
Yeah. That's what he meant to say.
And our team kicked in by the Cowboys.
Like, there was a point when every team in the NFC South for like a week or two thought that they were the front runners to win that division.
Crazy.
That's crazy. That's how in the dumps that division was. Cam Jordan.
The Panthers could have easily done it. They were right there.
Saints
were not far off from winning.
Saints had a little run in there. Atlanta didn't have a terrible beginning to their season. Yo, it's spooky in the NFC South. God bless.
I was gonna say, what if the both teams made their quarterback changes sooner? What if the Saints just started Dalton from the get-go? And what if the Falcons rode with Desmond Ridder a little earlier because Mario looked like he was doing that good?
Same result. Same record.
Yeah, Brady wins.
It's the NFC South. Speaking of the Pro Bowl, did you guys get a chance to watch it? What do you think is the new format?
I mean, I had the chance to. I chose not to at all.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of that, and I said, "Nah, this some bullshit." Then one of my homies was like, "Nah, I could watch better flag football at the Rec," and I couldn't stop laughing. I ended up turning it off after he said that because I was like, "All right, what am I doing here? Like these guys don't really care." And you know they don't. I seen, shout out Kyle Juszczyk. I seen a few of them catches out there.
Dog, the second Tyler Huntley was named a Pro Bowler, I was like, I'm good on this.
I was going through the list. Like, how many AFC quarterbacks had to say, nope, man, like, who else was at Pebble Beach this weekend? Seriously, like
yeah, Josh Allen said no, Joe Burrow said no, and they were like, "Oh, Tyler Huntley." Herbert said no. Didn't Herbert say no
because of his injuries? And Tua, the timing with the concussions for Tua was pretty interesting, right? Like
he's still in the protocol.
No, he just cleared. He cleared a couple days before the Pro Bowl. But they announced he didn't clear concussion protocol only because they had to also announce the Tyler Huntley Pro Bowl thing, and like as the reason like Tua wasn't able to go. So at the point where they had to set the Pro Bowl rosters, he was in concussion protocol, and then conveniently a few days later he clears.
Crazy.
And I know this year they changed the rules where because they wanted to stop this from people leaving. If you were named to the Pro Bowl but didn't show up to the Pro Bowl, for contract purposes, you are not considered a Pro Bowl player. So like if you had like incentives in your contract, you make a Pro Bowl, you get these types of bonuses. You have to show up to get those bonuses. I wonder if Tua has Pro Bowl incentives in his contract, but because it was in concussion protocol, they can't not pay him for an injury. So like he would still be paid and still considered a Pro Bowler. It's since he's not choosing to not go. But he didn't want to go to the Pro Bowl. So keep me in concussion protocol an extra week. And then, the time's passed. You're officially, your Pro Bowl status is secured. Okay, now I clear concussion protocol. It all's fine.
Jeez.
I just, and all the stuff too has gone through this year. I'm fine with it. That's good. Like, I'm all for the NFL players making as much money as possible. So, get your money, guys. So, yeah, no, I agree. That's 4D chess for sure. It did make us all dynasty nervous, to invest in Tua and stuff. And like you see some startups right now, I think he's just going ridiculously late in super flex startups. And I mean, I've got him in our 1 QB league. I don't think he's got any trade value at all. So, I mean, I might as well hold him as a backup behind Lawrence.
Well, my backup QB just retired. So.
Oh, do you want Tua?
No.
I guess you have a starter, right? You mentioned backup QB.
Yeah, I think I have Jared Goff.
Yeah, I think you do have Goff. I was
I'm pretty sure Geno Smith is a third guy too. So like we can get
Lamar's my starter. Yeah, I want to go back to our dynasty league real quick. I know we're getting ready to talk about LeBron and wrap this thing up.
No, you're good.
I want to talk about our dynasty league real quick. I want y'all to know if Lamar doesn't get hurt, my team I was winning games. It's okay.
Yeah, sure. You had the division locked up pretty early.
It's been a strong fantasy year for me because even in my fantasy basketball league, I just this past week lost my first game since Thanksgiving week. I'm currently 14-2 right now. Damn. And the two games I've lost, I noticed a trend now. The 2 games I lost, the Celtics had 2 games that week total because I have Jason Tatum. My top 3 is Jason Tatum, DeMar DeRozan, Paul George. That's a lineup. De'Aaron Fox is my point guard. I got the starting center for the Houston Rockets, Alfred Sengun. He's my starting center. I want y'all to know, all vibes and buckets out there in Houston. All vibes and buckets.
Just chilling.
Oh yeah, now this seems filthy.
Speaking of, I think we talked about earlier. Speaking of breaking records, does LeBron break the scoring title tonight? And if he does, well, he's going to break tonight or he's going to break it Thursday, one of the two. Is the debate finally over? Is he the GOAT?
Oh, Kyle, I'm gonna start us off, and then
okay.
You dunk this on Kyle. First off, the damn debate is over. It's been over. Stop it. Stop mentioning it. The damn debate is over. Bron is better than MJ. MJ is just the greatest scorer of all time. So respect. But in terms of purely basketball, I'm gonna say this. How can a dude be the greatest scorer of all time and also be top 5 in assists and not be considered one of the all-time greats? He's also top 10 in rebounds too. How could you not look at him as he literally does everything a basketball player does? Everything. The numbers say he's top 10 in everything. He has 4 rings. He's been a part of 3 of those rings came when his team was the favorites. 1 came against a team that he was very, very favored against. I mean, yeah, he's not undefeated, but I would say in most of his finals he's been to, he ain't been the favorite. It is what it is. Listen, greatest of all time, 4 rings. leading the league in scoring all time, a record that everyone thought would never be broken. Last time this record was broken, Rick James and Tina Marie was out here making music. Let's really keep it a bean of how, come on, we get ass. Booger Sugar was the best thing out in the streets right now. That was the real crack days. During the real crack days, people, is when Will broke this record. Y'all gonna sit here and tell me that the dude who has played 20 years straight with no signature shot, he didn't have no sky hit. He just had straight hoops. He's about to lead the league in scoring after consistently putting up 25, 5, and 8 or whatever on a nightly basis. Ain't the greatest of all time? Kiss my ass. Greatest of all time, LeBron James. Period.
The one thing with you say greatest scorer of all time, he's going to have the most points. And I make this contestation in hockey, right? Like Wayne Gretzky has the most goals all time, but I don't consider him the greatest goal scorer of all time. And I know with hockey, part of it is just like the era in which he scored tons of goals compared to other times. The years where he had he has the record. Gretzky has the record, 92 goals in the season. That year, the goals per game is the third highest in NHL history. And the only 2 seasons higher than that were two of the first 3 years when no one knew how to play goaltending. Even the first couple of years of hockey, it seems based on those goal totals. So it's this crazy outlier season. And yeah, he was at the top that year, scored more in that season than anyone's ever scored in any season. But the entire league was kind of elevated at that point. Now Alex Ovechkin might actually eventually break the goal scoring record. I think he would definitely be considered, in my books, the greatest goal scorer of all time, because in this era of hockey, that especially when he played, goals per game have struggled to get to 3, and that year that Gretzky had 92 was above 4. Now this is a little different, but the idea that LeBron has the most points all time. However, how many seasons do you think he actually led the league in scoring?
2? Was it 1 or 2? No, he has 0 scoring titles, or 1.
He has 1.
2008.
Yeah. Michael Jordan has 10 scoring titles. So I could contest and still say that Michael Jordan's the best scorer of all time because he was doing it at such a more dominant pace.
But see, that's not fair, because Michael Jordan never played in the league with fucking Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. Listen, Mike played in the era when it was very
Patrick Ewing and John Stockton.
He played in the era where it was very big man
Joe Malone.
Yeah, but those are big men.
Wait, Joe Malone's a hockey player.
And Michael came in and he was just this dynamic scorer that you just could not guard, especially from the mid-range. You just couldn't guard him from the mid-range in. On a floor with these gigantic.
You can say that about DeMar DeRozan too, but Michael did it way better though.
Yeah, but now we're in a league where you have to have a 3-point shot in any capacity to really be an effective scorer. So now you got guys who average 7, 8, 9 threes a game, maybe. He had a guy last night put up 12 threes in a game, and that's not even his best performance, because he has the all-time record at 14 threes in a game. I mean, LeBron is in an era of scores, and he's done nothing but outscore everybody.
But he wasn't outscoring Michael. Points per game career, LeBron's at 27.1, which is outstanding. Michael's at 30.1 though, which is the NBA record. Now
I would say those couple of points between Mike and Bron, that's why LeBron's top 5 in assists. Because instead of taking that shot, which he probably could make, he dished it out.
Michael led the. Did he lead the league in assists? I guess that's the one That's the one thing that LeBron has led the league in assists. I guess that's the one thing that Michael's never done.
Because people compared Mike to Bron because they were both faces of the league, when the comparison all this time really should always be Magic Johnson. But people don't want to do that because that's the greatest point guard of all time, and Bron is essentially the greatest point forward of all time.
Did he make? Yeah, okay, yeah. And I mean, they've both made defensive teams. They're both really good defensive players as well. So
Bron just doesn't have a Defensive Player of the Year award like Jordan does.
But he,
Can I chime in really quickly?
Yeah, of course.
Both of you guys are wrong. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the GOAT. Man held the scoring title for all these years, and he's only made one.
Are you serious?
What? Dog.
I'm smoking this
NBA's all-time leading scorer as of tonight, and he only made 1 3 in his entire career.
Okay, tell him he should have been in the gym working on his 3-point range. Like
6-time NBA champion.
He'd still have the record and Varner
he still has the record. Like, damn, Kareem, if you would have had a 3-point shot, your ass probably would have had an
but that's a time when the 3-pointer wasn't as accessible.
And now we have a guy who has to learn how to shoot.
I was going to say Will Chamberlain, actually. The dude led the league in rebounds for all those years.
NBA second all-time leading scorer at the end of this week. Only made 1 3-pointer. 6-time
That's
NBA
cool.
champion.
That's cool. Tell him to stop being a hating ass old dude too. Stop hating on.
I can't tell him that because he is a hater. Yo, he is Silky Johnson level hate.
Tell him not to hate. That would have to be one of the players.
Hater, someone find Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and ask him what do you think of this Kyrie trade. I bet you he's gonna say probably some of the most hating ass shit you would probably.
He got it.
I mean, back in my day, you used to just get drafted to a team, and you would stick to that team, and you may got opportunity to go to one other team. And if you went to that other team, you had to make sure that new team you went to was a team that you ended your career with. Because back in my day, man, we wanted to show loyalty, man. We wanted to show that you can go somewhere and win, and you can stay somewhere, build a championship team, and win. Well, that ain't that's just too damn bad, Kareem. My players today, we trying to jump ship today, jump ship tomorrow, and we trying to win championships.
I mean, he played for the Bucks and the Lakers.
Let's jump over here, and we staying over there until the next time somebody get good. Then we jumping on their shit. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? That's what they.
Kareem got an article in the LA Times coming out this week about why Kyrie ain't. Last thing before we go, or one of the last things. Jim Boeheim, speaking of hating ass old men, Jim Boeheim is out here catching strays for saying that some NCAA teams bought their team and said that the state of the NCAA is in shambles. Jim Boeheim, stop pocket watching teenagers, old man. Get that weak ass zone out the ACC, and maybe, just maybe, you might be relevant again.
Listen, what I thought is funny. Who the hell keeps putting a mic in front of Jim Boeheim after losses? Kyle, they keep asking these questions. They keep asking these type of questions after losses. The dude don't have a lot of nice things to say. He was at the podium and was like, God damn. I mean, Wake Forest and Miami over there goddamn buying teams. I mean, fuck it. Why can't we? The state of NCAA basketball is in the trash right now.
Because they know it gets clicks, right? The people perpetuating those videos, it's a controversial take. Whether you agree with them or disagree with them, people are watching it because it's such a polarizing statement. Mm-hmm. So of course the people asking it's like that's what they've been told to ask because
he won't wrong either. Like nothing that Jim Boeheim said was actually incorrect. Everything he said is very right. The state of college sports is the NCAA said we can't keep letting all these good athletes come in. Not like basically we can't let these good athletes not come through our system, especially when the leagues are developing farm systems, that are probably better equipped to get them prepared for the league than we are. So we gotta let these kids get paid. And when they let these kids get paid, college coaches, and we go back to it, when Saban say it, it do be true. Saban said, oh, this is about to be a dirty game. This is about to be a dirty game.
It's funny because they went from this extreme of, you can't get money for autographs. You can't have anyone from the school buy you a jacket or a lunch to now the schools are paying for it. Like they could have found a middle ground that said you're allowed to seek employment and get like endorsements from big companies without that coming from the school's pocket. But then they had to kind of go in and get the boosters all involved. It's like it's that was the fear of it in the first place, right? Like of the integrity of the sport and schools paying for athletes. Like if a prominent athlete was getting a sponsorship from a big company outside of the NCAA, that shouldn't affect which school they go to, right? Like that's just their money, and that should have been okay. But then, they included not just that, but everything, and then it's they didn't have to swing the pendulum all the way that far, but yeah.
And the last thing
charitable organization, NCAA. Thanks for teaching us that, Danny.
Last thing I'm gonna say before we wrap up here to the young man in Florida, I got further details into why your NIL deal fell through and why you ended up committing somewhere else. Y'all, essentially, he wanted almost close to $4 million a year to attend.
Good for him.
University of Florida.
You start at no. All you can do is ask.
The thing is, at first, the Florida Collective was down for it. like the Florida Collective was getting ready to agree to this, and then I guess later.
So they have the money.
Yeah,
like if they really couldn't, they would have said that would have been the reason. So they clearly have the money. He knows that.
And then later, I guess they came to their senses, and the collective decided against that. And I'm sitting here like, whoa, wait a minute. Part of me is like, ain't no way this is a kid. Ain't no way this is a kid. For one, this is not just a kid. Danny, Kyle, I think we both know you give one of these high school kids, one of these high school athletes, a contract for $250,000 and up, they are going to say yes immediately. Now, maybe if you give them $1 million total over 4 years, they'll take that easily too. But when I hear something like $4 million a year, okay, which one of your nasty ass parents with some ulterior motives is got they nasty ass thoughts in your ear on how to come up quick with some money? Now, I'm not saying I'm against it. All I'm gonna say is, you bark up that tree, don't be mad if someone decides to come piss on it too.
Yeah, people end up in ditches with that kind of money.
Because they buy too expensive a car, they don't know how to drive it, and it swerves off and goes into a ditch. Is that?
I'm talking about them Jerry Jones ditches. If you get my drift,
I do. I get your drift.
Kidding.
Yes, I'm sorry I deviated the conversation.
Yeah, you think they're gonna let you ride around in Oxford, Mississippi in a Rolls Royce just because you play a little bit of football? You'd be like,
hey, come follow the smoke on the side of the road.
mm-hmm.
The trees aren't on fire, my friend. Come join us.
Kyle, let the people know where can they find you? Let people know where they can find you on a weekly basis.
Well, definitely not in Oxford, Mississippi. That's for sure.
Oh.
Just because that's really far. I don't want to travel that far, honestly.
Okay.
Like, if I'm gonna go that far south, I might as well just go to Louisiana or something. But I'm on. You can find me on the Going for Two Live network, and that reaches everywhere across the world. So it doesn't really matter where I am in the world. But in a couple nights, I will be co-hosting the Dynasty Gambit. We'll be on every second Thursday, so that'll be this week, February 9th. After that, February 23rd. Also, starting that alternating week on the 20th. The new season of press coverage, where I sit down one-on-one with different people in the fantasy and football media industry, and we just have some great conversations, some great talks. This year has a certain theme to the guests this year, so I'm not going to reveal too many secrets, but I will I'll teach everyone a few things or about a few people. Yes, so those two shows on the Going for Two Live network. I also have the Full Press Packers and Full Press Fantasy Pod outside the Going for Two network. So at FPC_Fantasy Pod, at FPC_Packers to get updates on both those. And yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Senra Says. And again, goingfor2.com. You want to get the swag, like the hats and stuff, and also all the great articles and the Personal League podcast as well, service we run. If you want to, you pay for a podcast, and we will do it about your league specifically. Send us the rosters, and we'll comment go team by team the things we think should be done. It can be done for Dynasty, can be done for redraft as well. Personal League podcast, goingfor2.com/PLP. You can check everything out at goingfor2.com. We got a Discord as well, Discord/goingfor2, and a lot of great conversations happen there, and it's free entirely. So appreciate my Going for Two live cohorts here, Danny and Dee, for inviting me on. It's a great conversation.
It's always a blast.
Yes, sir. Danny, I'll let people know where to find me at real quick. People, you already know. Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. I'm here. YouTube, LosDMix. That's LOSDEEMIX. Danny, I've been doing some reorganizing and whatnot around my little work desk right here. That's why I got a different view of me this time.
Okay.
And I'm getting set up because pretty soon I'm telling you what I'm about to come.
All right, I'm listening.
I ain't playing. I'm telling you.
I didn't say you were. I'm just waiting. That's all. Streets waiting.
My goal by the end of this year is to really start teaching myself how to DJ. I'm gonna start way before the end of this year, but I'm gonna bring this journey on the road to the people out here, via live content on Twitch, so they can see me as I learn how to do this.
I think it's a great message. If anyone wants to learn anything, like DJ, for instance, just take a spin at it and see.
Oh, dude,
I see your bars. I see your bars. Danny, let the people know where to find you.
I'm on the Bird app, Danny Ocean 41. You can find us, the show, Speak On It _pod on Instagram and Twitter. Don't forget to send us your emails, speakonapod14@gmail.com. The weather is breaking. Cuffing season is over. You want to get back in these streets, but you don't know how to. We'll do our best. Can't promise you anything, but speakonapod14@gmail.com or any life questions that you may have that aren't financially related, because we are not financial advisors. I'm not going to tell you how to get out of debt. Can't tell you how to do that. Sell that white like they do on TV. That seems to work well.
We here at the Going for Two Network do not encourage the selling, distributing, or intake of any narcotic substances.
I was not talking about that white, but yes. Y'all have a good night. Do you have a song for us to leave on?
I got us. We're gonna get out of here. Let's respect the game. Meek Mill, if you a Philly fan, shout out to y'all. I think y'all are gonna bring the championship home. Kyle thinks the Chiefs are gonna win. I'm hoping for a good game. Just make sure you respect the game and listen to what Meek said about these rules.
Go Birds.
Best of luck, Danny.
See you next week.